So I'm starting my video all over because I went all over the place. I probably should have wrote down a type of script of like what I should say first, or not script, but a bullet point of things I should go over first, because I am going to be talking about capitalism and explaining terms and then situations and kind of tying it to how we live our lives. And so I was talking about the importance of sociology. I think there's a lot of problems that individuals face, and we forget that we are all under the same umbrella of the society we live in. And so we're all members individually, but we are under the same umbrella of society. So we have common things, common worries that we have on our mind. I want to talk about a lot of the times whenever you, aside from like personal problems, when somebody is having some type of, they feel stuck or they feel a sense of anomie, which is, I can't explain it, that anomie, a sense of not knowing what one is expected to do, or we just feel like we don't know exactly what to do in the situation that we're in, or in circumstances where we can't handle it, or we feel kind of like we're floating, like we need like a way to express ourselves, or a lot of people want some type of legacy or some type of outlet that they can express themselves, and this is normal. We all have this in us. Human nature and alienation. I'm going to go over alienation and how alienation has to do with capitalism, and maybe ways we could be more conscious about it and get a bigger picture of how we work as a society. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of noise here because my family's loud. Human nature and alienation. Human beings are creative, in need of expressing their humanity, totality, and freely through the production of material, philosophical, cultural, artistic, social, or other commodities. We are actively shapers of society, yet constrained by it. That's pretty profound, because we are actively, you know, a part of a society, and you know, the US likes us to believe that we're free, we're the land of the free, and it's actually the complete opposite, and it's full of capitalism and exploitation, and thrive off individuals feeling alienated by themselves and by others because of the system that we live in. Alienation is a sense of powerlessness, lack of control over a person's life and productive activities. So it occurs when people are exploited, when they have to sell their humanity. So they have to sell our time. So that's what we're selling. When I worked as a waitress, I was selling my time in order to be compensated so I can pay for my wages. For less than their worth, for low wages, which cannot satisfy their basic needs and those of their immediate family. I was barely, I mean, I hate using like surviving. I was surviving. I'm alive. I was always well. I'm always fed well, but it's always like barely, you know. I was a part of like this cycle. So when I read all this and everything, it really does resonate, and it really does make me feel like, okay, so this is why these things are happening, and it's a little bit infuriating, but it's such a big problem that you don't know where to start. And a lot of the terms I'm going to use, a lot of the things I've been reading about are ways where we can solve it, but there's no way of solving these astronomical problems unless we all, you know, come together, and it doesn't seem like that's gonna happen anytime soon. Because right here it says, how do you break free from the oppressive economy? The only way to overcome alienation is to break free of the oppressive economic and social constraints of capitalism. But if you do that, then you're kind of out of a job, and it's really messy. So actually went back and saw what I said here, and I didn't mean that it's impossible to do or that you'd be out of a job or whatever, but it's gonna take a lot of pushing, a lot of networking, a lot of strength that everyone has, but is usually fogged by, and those are my dogs, it's usually fogged by a lot of, you know, the doubt of us thinking whether we can make it, whether we can make a living off the things that we love, how to get there, what steps to take there. There's a lot of things. I'm just saying that it's very difficult, and if you are going to make it, it's going to be just you as an individual, not as a whole, like, society. That's what I think I meant to say, that like it's going to be really hard, or like it's impossible as a whole society. First of all, it is possible. It will just take a lot of oneness, and it's not happening right now, but it is very possible to break free of like this feeling of alienation and everything. It's very, very possible. I'm gonna do it, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. There's two conditions that must prevail before change occurs. Class consciousness. This is why education is really important, and that it's kind of crazy that we live in a education system that doesn't teach these things, because I feel like we will become conscious about what system we live in, and you know, our government, our society doesn't want us finding out the problem, because if there is a huge mess in our home but we are blindfolded, they're just gonna teach us ways to barely survive with not basically saying, I'm saying they like that we're unconscious. They like that they thrive and survive off of people's unconsciousness. And I think, you know, our education system kind of amplifies that, which is pretty sad. We must develop a sense of being in the same boat, sharing same life experience and position, and willingness to take action to change it. The next one is, so now I'm going to talk about what capitalism actually is. Capitalism is essentially a two-class system in which one class, capitalist, exploits the other. It's called proletariat, but I'm just going to say lower class. The key to understanding both classes lie in what Marxists call the means of production. So the capitalist, the people who manage and hire, fire, whatever, have what lower socioeconomic people need, and that's a job. The means of production, money for wages, but what do workers have to offer? What do people have to offer to these capitalists? The workers have something absolutely essential to the capitalists, and that is labor and the time available to perform it. The capitalist cannot produce and cannot make more money and profit without the labor of lower class individuals. The capitalists allow the lower class people access to the means of production, and actually the worker is paid what Marx has called as subsistence wage. So this is basically the lower class is paid just enough for workers to survive and to have a family and children, so that when the workers falter, he or she can be replaced by their children. So this is like a whole cycle that capitalists thrive off. In exchange, the lower class individuals give the capitalists their labor time and all the productive abilities and capacities associated with that time. Labor theory of value. So basically, what is the value of labor? What is the true value of labor? And is this okay? You know, having people above you paying you to get away with the least amount of money they can pay you, so they can thrive off of, you know, the lower class, and then having them pass away or whatever, and then having their children come in and continue this continuous cycle to basically make enough, barely enough to survive with housing, car, insurance, phone, all these things. So I really like this next part. The capitalist might invest, plan, manage, scheme, and so on, but Marx says this is not labor. It's so hard to say his name because it's an X and then comma and S. I'm just gonna say Max. Max's sense of labor is a production of things out of the raw materials provided by nature. The lower classmen, and only the lower classmen do that. So only the people who are doing the labor are the ones that are of value because they're the ones actually working. This is what he's saying. Although under capitalism, the raw materials are provided by the capitalists. So even though that work is provided by the people who are capitalists, it is not directly by nature. So he says, to put it badly, since the lower class labor and the capitalist does not, the lower class deserve virtually everything and the capitalist almost nothing. So obviously it is wrong to exploit other people. It's wrong, and we know this. We don't really think about it, but for someone to get paid the bare minimum for them to survive so that the higher up capitalists, upperclassmen can profit off of people's labor, and then having them believe that is how life is, then that cycle just keeps going, and people start to feel alienated. People start to feel like they feel like their abilities and their potential is being wasted. And this is why it's so important to go for, it's hard to say this because it's gonna happen, like it's happening no matter what, but this is why, you know, for a long time when I was working at these places that weren't making me happy, I was feeling like there was a dead end, like there was just no way. And sometimes it still feels like that, you know, because you just don't have the means or the network or connections or whatever it is to get where you want to be, because you have everyone, whoever's watching this, you have abilities that are different and amazing and useful and beautiful, and you want to express that, you know, you want to express that in work, and you want to express that in life, and you want to do something that you enjoy. But if you are in this cycle where you're working and trying to do the things you like, sometimes it's a good balance, but you're gonna hit a wall, and that's why lower socioeconomic individuals and even middle classmen feel alienated. They feel like they don't know what to do, or that they're floating, or how are they going to make it. And it's sad because not only some people, even when they do make it, they still feel some type of stuckness or anomie because of the discourse we're exposing ourselves to on a daily basis. And so, ironically, back to the reading, ironically, neither capitalists nor the workers are conscious of this exploitations. Both are victims of false consciousness. Yes, there are many people who are not conscious of the things that are happening in this world, and it is very sad because I feel like if we were, and the thing is, if all of us as individuals come together or like knew about these things that were happening, we would do something about it, you know. But it's only sprinkled here and there, and we can't get anywhere. We can't get anywhere if we're not conscious, if we don't know what's happening. And the higher up people are not conscious, the lower people are not conscious, the middle people, just no one knows, you know. I mean, some people know, but not enough people know about these things that are happening on a day-to-day basis that is creating so much pain and alienation, and a society that actually creates friction between one another, between the classes also. So both victims are false conscious. Mark believed that it is possible for people to be unaware of the forces that determine their social positions. Even though the lower classmen suffer under capitalism, they are unaware of the reasons for that suffering, or at least they have a false understanding of the sources of that suffering. The workers think that they're getting paid a fair day's pay, and the capitalists think that they are being rewarded not because of their exploitation of the workers, but their cleverness, their capital investment, their manipulation of the market, and so on. And the capitalists are too busy making more money with a form of, to form a true understanding of the exploitative nature of their relationship with workers. So this is true. It's sad because the people, you know, politicians or the people that represent, you know, lower classmen or people who are being oppressed, Black people are being oppressed. That is happening right now. It's very real. It's a pandemic. It's been a pandemic for a long time. And it's sad because these people in power are not conscious of, like what I said, they don't know that this is happening, and they're too busy living in their lives to even understand what it feels like to be in the situation of having to work labor hours and hours on just to make ends meet. It's really sad. I don't really understand why. I do understand. There's a lot of things that surround and amplify this idea, and it's called our education system and just not being aware that this is happening. And it's sad because I don't even know if, like, we knew it was happening, that was a really long video. I'm just gonna cut it there. Wow, I didn't even watch all of that because it was just too much. But there's a lot of other ideas that I have that are more on the spiritual side about society and how we work as individuals or whatever. There's a way to still be happy in this kind of climate, and I know all the things I said were kind of, I don't know, I don't think it was very helpful, but I don't know, I have a quiz soon, and I think it's gonna help me get a better grade because I have like a better understanding of it because I've said it out loud. Yeah, it is very possible to live a content, peaceful, happy life. It's just a matter of like knowing how to maneuver in the society you live in. And I'm for sure gonna make it, and I'm gonna look back on this video and I'm gonna be so proud of myself. I'm already really proud of myself with the things I have accomplished and the things and the way I live my life, the way I choose to live my life. But yeah.